Welcome back to another episode of Ball Don't Lie. I'm Jacob Fraser with my co-host Cam Connolly, and today we've got a fun show this week as always. But before we get into things, how's it going, Cam?
Good, good. It was a rather uneventful week that turned into an extremely eventful week in the last 2 days, so I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, for sure. As always, we'll kick things off with our weekly recap here, and then we're going to move into a little check-in on the NCAA, some college basketball talk. And then we've got a fun little game, buy or sell. I'm going to ask Cam a few questions, some hot takes, and we're going to see if he's going to buy or sell on those. And then we'll move over to our final two segments, our weekly ones, MVP and LVP, and our Canadian Hooper highlight. But yeah, let's get into the weekly updates here because Lamelo Ball has said that he is open to a trade from the Charlotte Hornets. Let's just talk about like where he could end up. What are some good fits for Lamelo Ball?
Yeah, I mean this trade kind of caught me off guard a little bit. Like I know that he's really, really close with a lot of guys on his team. Like he was an avid supporter of Miles Bridges. I don't know, it was a little bit of a questionable PR move, but hey, it's his friend. I guess he had his friends back. I am personally a fan of LaMelo Ball. I've made that no secret. So Uh, yeah, I was surprised by this move, but there's a team that I think could really take themselves out of this kind of bridge year to like a legit contender. I think the Chicago Bulls should make a move for LaMelo Ball. They have a lot of picks. They have some assets they can move on from. I mean, Matas Buzelis, is he going to pan out to be something? Maybe, but you could also probably get a guy like LaMelo Ball if you put a few picks alongside with him. There's a lot of guys that you could put in. I mean, imagine a big three of Vucevic, Kobe White, and LaMelo Ball. Like, I don't know. And Josh Giddey. I literally forgot about Josh Giddey. Like, that could be a scary team if they had a guy like LaMelo Ball on it. And I think that they should explore all avenues in trying to get him over.
Yeah, Bleacher Report, they came out with an article either today or yesterday, but they had four potential landing spots: the Portland Trailblazers, Los Angeles Clippers, Miami Heat, and the Dallas Mavericks. I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks a little bit as well because I don't see that being a great fit alongside Cooper Flag. I don't know if I like the fit between him and LaMelo Ball, but I mean, yeah, the Chicago Bulls are not a team listed here, but they're definitely a team that has been taking steps. You talk about Josh Giddey, you talk about Matas Buzelis. They're currently seventh seed in the Eastern Conference right now at 8-6, but I could see that being a great fit. And Lonzo was there, and maybe Lamelo goes next.
Yeah, follow the footsteps of his brother. I would agree also with the Dallas move, especially wouldn't really make sense for Charlotte either. Like, because obviously, well, I think it's obvious that if you were to make a move to Dallas with LaMelo Ball, Anthony Davis would be going the other way. And
Hmm.
if you're moving on from LaMelo Ball, you're not really making any win now moves, I would assume. It wouldn't be very smart. And trading for a guy like Anthony Davis is seen as a win now move, considering he's an aging guy. And with his injury history, it just really wouldn't make sense. Same with Portland, honestly. I don't think Portland making that move makes a whole lot of sense either. I don't really think he fits in with that roster as well as he could fit in on a team like the Bulls. I'm actually really surprised to hear that there's not a whole lot of teams talking about, or not a whole lot of news outlets talking about the potential of LaMelo Ball to the Bulls. Because in my mind, it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Portland because obviously Scoot Henderson, he's yet to play this season, but he kind of hasn't been that elite point guard that people had expected him to be when he was drafted back in 2023. But I personally do kind of like the Portland Trailblazer fit. I think alongside someone like Denny Avdia, those two could make a really good duo. And maybe they're not a championship contending duo, but Denny Avdia is, we've talked about him on the show quite a bit, and he's been really good this year. And I think if you pair him alongside LaMelo Ball, that can lead you to some success, especially when you have guys like Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard on that Portland Trailblazers roster to kind of um, show LaMelo Ball the ropes a little bit here and give him someone who can actually develop him, which he hasn't really had in Charlotte.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, especially from a Charlotte perspective, I think that a trade with Portland would make a lot of sense for them because you can get a lot of assets, you can get a lot of potential back. But I just see kind of Portland as Charlotte if Charlotte got off to a hot start. I don't think that he's gonna move the needle too much in Portland. I mean, I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong, but that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, I'm curious to see where he ends up. I did want to just quickly, before we wrap up the Lamelo Ball talk, I did want to ask you about the Toronto Raptors because we talked about John Morant potentially being a good fit there, and Lamelo Ball has the size that the Raptors like, that 6'7" or so height, but he's a good shooter. He's a good playmaker, kind of something that the Raptors have needed. So could he be a good fit for the Toronto Raptors?
I actually do think he would be a good fit for Toronto. However, I don't think it would make sense to trade for him because especially right now, maybe if they start to sputter out a bit and some guys kind of fall off a cliff, then it would kind of make sense to make a move. But I just like if you look at it, the Raptors are on such a roll. I wouldn't even touch this team. I would maybe you can make like a minor move, bring in a role player, but I don't think you want to mess up this chemistry right now because the way that they're playing is unbelievable. 9-1 in their last 10.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's a very fair point. Let's move over to some injuries. Just some updates here. Victor Wembanyama out for a few weeks with a calf strain. Stefan Castle also will miss a few weeks with a hip flexor strain. Giannis Antetokounmpo out 1 to 2 weeks with low grade groin strain, and then Domantas Sabonis is also going to be out for a few weeks. There's some star talent in the NBA that's going to be missing a few weeks here coming up.
Yeah, we kind of gotten to that point of the season where it's a star getting hurt every week, a star's out week to week, a star is day to day. It's an unfortunate part of the NBA and the recent NBA, and I know that there's like a huge debate online about injuries, star injuries, and everything. But the one point that kind of sticks to me, especially that I heard someone say when we see these kind of like domino effect of injuries just nonstop, like never ending. I saw someone say that the human body isn't meant to play basketball. And whenever I see like a large grouping of injuries, especially in stars that play a heavy amount of minutes, I really think about that a lot. Because it's probably right. The human body probably isn't meant to jump as high as you possibly can every single day. It's probably not meant to like give that much contact on defense, to absorb that much contact on defense, fall over as often as you can. Like we see an influx in Achilles injuries because guys are jumping, they're exerting that much force into their Achilles, which obviously your Achilles is meant to help be explosive, and your calf is there to absorb the shock of it. But it's just it's such a shame that we're putting that the stars are putting that much stress, and I don't know, maybe the human body isn't meant for basketball.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I mean, also the fact that a guy like Victor Wembanyama is 7'5" and moving the way he does, that's not very natural. But yeah, just unfortunate to have all these star players missing this much time early on in the season. But let's move over to our last update of the week. LeBron James, your favorite player, made his Lakers season debut with a win over Utah, 11 points, 12 assists, and 3 rebounds in, I think it was 30 minutes of playing time. Um, Good to have LeBron back in the NBA, and we'll see what the Lakers look like with him back in the lineup.
I want everyone to go back and watch that game. And I want everyone to go look at how many times Luka's yelling at LeBron because he's out of position. It is very evident to me that LeBron James was not watching the practices. LeBron James was not watching film. And you say, oh, he's the GOAT. He has nothing left to prove. First of all, he's not the GOAT. All right. That belongs to Michael Jordan. Second of all, he's a member of a team, right? And if you're going to be on the court, you're letting your teammates down if you do not know the actions. They got by the Jazz. They're probably going to get by the Jazz again. And then I'm predicting, I'm Mystic Mac. Shout out Mystic Mac. I'm Mystic Mac. They're going to lose a bunch of games in a row. And like I've said before, people are going to point fingers everywhere except for the root cause, which is LeBron James.
Expert analysis.
It's true. Just wait for it. Call me the all-seeing being, like I've said. You can put a flashback clip, this one or the other one, when it happens.
I mean, what do you like? You mentioned Luca, and I mean the Lakers are 11-4. You've talked about this before, but I'm curious if your stance has changed at all. Do you think the Lakers are going to be better or worse with LeBron in the lineup?
Worse. Worse by a million. LeBron James isn't a guy that can take a back seat. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, he had 12 assists. Just wait. You guys just wait. He's just easing his way back in. He's going to go back into his shot chucking, kind of taking bad shots, missing. Yeah, no one talks about how many clutch free throws this guy misses. He misses a bunch of clutch free throws. He he's not a guy at this point in his career that is willing to take a back seat, and we see it with lots of stars. And I think he's going to be a huge I don't think, I know he's going to be a detriment to this team in the future. And if the Lakers actually care about the results this year, they'll move on from LeBron before the deadline.
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree, but you're passionate enough that I won't disagree with you here. Let's move into our NCAA check-in. We I just wanted to talk about some of these freshmen that are on absolute tears to start the season. Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, AJ Dibansta, Caleb Wilson, all averaging over 20 points per game to start the college basketball season. Obviously, Darren Peterson, he's only played in the 2 games. He's been out with an injury, but I mean, these kids are taking over. And you got Mikael Brown Jr. and Nate Ament also averaging 19 points per game as well. Like these guys are lighting up the NCAA.
Yeah, just a ridiculous, ridiculous freshman class. And I'm actually curious your opinion on this. I haven't brought this up with you yet. I saw a video the other day and it said Cooper Flag wouldn't have gone top three in this draft class and that he reclassed to run away from these three guys, that he maximized his income and maximized his hype, maximized his star power. I'm curious what you think about that because, I mean, he is extremely young in the NBA and he's not really, not that he's not panning out, but you can tell that he's young and you tell that he still has a lot of time, a lot of things to learn. These guys look legit, and you can argue that they look better than Cooper did in college. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this was the case, but I remember seeing something about Cooper Flag was losing that number one ESPN top 100 ranking in high school to AJ Dibansta. Um, but obviously, it was a full season. He played 37 games, but Cooper Flag put up 19 points a game in college, but his shooting splits weren't great. And that's the thing with these freshmen so far to start this season. Their shooting splits are crazy. Like they're all shooting above 50%. Darren Peterson's shooting 60%. Like I mean there definitely is an argument, but a guy like a guy like Darren Peterson, I think 100% he goes above Cooper Flag in the draft if Cooper Flag were in this draft class. AJ Dibansta, I think it's a little bit different, but just that raw athleticism, I think there's a chance there too because teams look at that and they go, we can develop this guy into something really special, right? And Cooper Flag, he's obviously a great athlete, but he doesn't have that same level of athleticism as Dibansta does. But Cam Boozer, I think I would still have Cooper Flag ahead of him. Obviously, Flag was a Duke guy, Boozer's a Duke guy now. Um, and if they were on the same team this season, I think Cooper Flag would be their number one go-to guy, and Boozer would be that number two. But yeah, I think there's still an argument there as well because he's more of that dominant interior forward kind of guy in college basketball, whereas Flag was more of a perimeter player.
Yeah, that's some good analysis. I have another question for you. All right, now this just off rip, you don't need to like think about it too much, but draft is tomorrow. You have the number one pick. Are you drafting based off fit? Or are you drafting based off best player available? And who do you think that is?
I'm. It's no question to me. I'm drafting Darren Peterson. Like, I mean, there's been numerous scouts that have said this guy could have been playing in the NBA last season, his senior year of high school. Like, he's unbelievable. He's so polished, such a good basketball player. I think something he needs to work on is more of his playmaking if he wants to be a true point. But he's one of the best combo guard prospects we've seen in a very long time. I think back to someone like Anthony Edwards. Darren Peterson is a world ahead of Anthony Edwards at this point in his development and his skill level. So yeah, I would go Darren Peterson 100%. I don't care if I have Stephen Curry and Luka Doncic as my backcourt.
Interesting. Darren Peterson is a top blank prospect in the last 10 years.
Oh, I'd have to go back and look at number one picks. I can't think off the top of my head. Who would that start with? 2015. That would have been. Was that Andrew Wiggins or was he 14?
I think he was 14. I can pull it up.
Yeah, I think he
Because
was 14
20,
as well.
well, we know who number 10 would be in the last 10 years. That one's a no-brainer.
Who?
Richase.
Yeah, okay. Okay. 2015 was Cat. So I'll go draft class by draft class. 2015 Cat, definitely have Peterson ahead of him. 2016 was Ben Simmons. That's tough because Simmons was such an exciting prospect, but I think I would have Peterson over him as well. Markel Fultz 2017. I'm a big University of Washington fan. I love Markel Fultz, but Peterson's just way better than Markel Fultz was even in college, even not taking into account what Fultz turned into. 2018, DeAndre Ayton. Ayton was such a dominant center, but I think I would still have Flag, or sorry, not Flag, Peterson. Zion at 2019 is kind of where I go, need to think about this one a little bit more because Zion as a prospect
He was elite.
was unbelievable. Um 2020 Anthony Edwards, I already talked about that. Cade in 21, I'd have him above Cade. It might honestly be Wemby and maybe Zion
That's
ahead of
that's
him.
insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because, oh, wow. I mean, I'm an honest guy. I'm not too enamored with the NCAA until March comes along, but Darren Peterson is really like making me attentive to him. I mean, it sucks that he's injured right now, so his hype can't grow even more. But you think he'll
Yeah.
make him? You think he'll be the clear cut one come draft time?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, unless Dybansta does something crazy, I don't think Boozer's gonna be a threat to take that number one spot. I think he's solidified in the top three, but he's gonna go two or three, and it just kind of depends on AJ Dybansta and the season he has with BYU. Um, do you wanna shift over to our buy or sell?
Sure.
Okay, I've got 5 questions for you here. You're gonna buy or sell, and just let me know why you're buying or selling. So I'll kick things off. Currently, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 15-1 to start the regular season. They're on a 7-game win streak at the moment. First buy or sell. The Oklahoma City Thunder will break the Warriors' 73-9 regular season record. Are you buying or selling?
Hold on. I'm just doing some math real quick. Okay. I think I'm gonna buy this take, and I'll tell you why. As of right now, they're on pace to become 64-4. And are they going to sputter and are they going to lose maybe one or two more games than they're at pace? I would think so, but I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. When is the last time you've heard of a championship team return every single player? It doesn't happen. And one of the byproducts that comes alongside this that people don't really like pick up on is just the trust and the bond that you build with your teammates. And what happens throughout long seasons is guys get frustrated. They start to point their fingers at one another, and they become distrustful and they try to do it themselves. But I'm also watching starting five right now on last season, and that group was already so close. And as they go into more battles with each other and they have this goal, I'm assuming that this has to be a goal, something that they have circled on their vision board. If this is a goal for that group, with how dominant they were last year, I think they were like what, 68 wins, something like there. between
Yeah, they
65
were.
and 68. They were somewhere in there. And and if
Yeah,
this is a
68.
yeah, I definitely think they can improve by 5, even 6 wins. And if they improve 6 wins, then this is the new greatest team of all time. It just sucks that they're in a small market, and the NBA sucks at promoting small markets.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next one. Tyrese Maxey will win the NBA scoring title this season. He's coming off that 54-point game the other night, currently second in the league with 33.4 points per game. Will he win the scoring title?
Who's first?
Luca.
I'm gonna uh, I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna sell on this take, and the reason being, I don't think it's sustainable for an undersized guard as small as Tyrese Maxey is to continue scoring at this clip. I think that teams are going to kind of hone in on it, especially as the Sixers become more of a legitimate player in the East. I don't think people are really taking them seriously. I think they're kind of looking over the Sixers, not really worrying about them. Maxey was a star, but he wasn't at this level last year. So I think he's catching some teams off guard. More film is going to come out. He's going to get a lot of new looks. He's not going to get confused, but it's just going to trip him up. And I think that his scoring rate will slow down a little bit. I definitely think he'll be top 10 though. I don't think he's going to fall off by that much.
Okay. Next one, the Toronto Raptors will make the Eastern Conference Finals this year. They are currently in second place in the Eastern Conference, 10-5 to start the season. Will they make the Eastern Conference Finals?
Now, I am on record saying that the Raptors can finish first in the East, and everyone laughed at me. People in real life came up to me and called me crazy lunatic. However, I am going to sell on this, and I think it is just strictly due to inexperience, not due to not due to going to miss the playoffs, not due to fizzle out. I just think that they're an inexperienced roster who doesn't have the well, I guess experience. They don't really have a lot of veterans who have played in the playoffs either, like not on the Raptors. So yeah, I think that they'll probably hit a bump. They'll hit a bit of adversity in the playoffs, and I think that they'll probably. I don't think they're going to make it out of the first round, to be honest, unless they're the 1 seed.
Okay. The second to last one here. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's got 2 years left on his contract after this one. The final year being a player option. So 1+1 basically. But are you buying or selling? This season will be Giannis Antetokounmpo's last as a Milwaukee Buck. There were all the trade rumors in the offseason. They're on the outside looking in of a play-in spot at the moment, 8-8. Will this be his last year?
I'm buying that. I think that this is his last year as a Buck. I almost said Brewer as a Buck. I think that it's just kind of feels natural. Like it doesn't really feel like the team is going to be a contender. Well, it doesn't look like they're a contender really at all this year. Last year kind of felt like their last year of the window. Dame's gone. It just feels like it's time for a rebuild in Milwaukee, and I think that they might even encourage Giannis to kind of walk away and search elsewhere. Maybe they'll look for like him to decline a player option and get into a sign and trade. But I think that Milwaukee's time with Giannis is over after this year.
Okay. The last one here. This one's just a little bit more fun. He's gotten some bad luck in the dunk contest, but Aaron Gordon, he had that 10 three-pointer game to start the season. He's shooting at a really good clip from three this year, 45%. Will Aaron Gordon compete in the three-point contest instead of the dunk contest this year?
Hmm. I want to say yes. I want to say I'm going to buy that as well. I think that they'll make some narrative about how Aaron Gordon got robbed in the dunk contest, but this time no judges can rob him. He can win it for himself, and he's going to come out and be super motivated. Will he win it? I don't think so. I think he jumps too high on his 3 pointers to like really be effective in a 3 point contest. It's effective in a game, but in a 3 point contest where you're just trying to get shot, I think he jumps too high. But I think that it would be interesting, and I think that he probably will do it.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see. I mean, like you said, he's been robbed in a few dunk contests, so Hopefully he can get into a contest that's not judged. Maybe a skills contest too. One of those skills competition.
Yeah, let's not forget when Aaron Gordon brought the drone out to give him a lob and he missed, and then they had to reload the drone during the dunk contest. That was funny.
Okay, let's move into our MVP and LVPs this week. I'll kick things off with my MVP. I've got Lauri Markkanen, 39 points per game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 50% from the field in 2 games with the Utah Jazz. I mean, Lauri Markkanen, would you consider him a star in the league? Like he's been an all-star before, but is he a star in the league at this point?
Well, if you're the Warriors, he's not worth Brandon Podziemski. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that trade, but he should be a Warrior right now, which hurts as a Warriors fan as well as I am a Raptors fan. Do I see him as a star? I think it's honestly it's really hard to tell because he's on such like a terrible Utah team.
Hmm.
He's putting up good numbers, but the thing is you see guys on bad teams put up crazy numbers all the time because someone has to score. Now,
Yeah.
is 39 points per game a fluke? I don't think so. I think that I don't think, I wouldn't necessarily declare him a star, but I would declare him a birthing star. What's it called before you're officially a star in the solar system? I don't know. I'm not a science guy. But I think that he's one level below star with the potential to formulate into like a legit guy in the NBA.
Yeah, and I mean he's 28 years old, so he's reaching the prime of his career. But he's averaging 30 points per game this season. Like he's having an unbelievable year with the Utah Jazz. Obviously, they're not a great team, as you said, but I mean they're in a play-in spot at the moment, but 5-9. It's not
Yeah.
4 games below 500 this early in the
There's a
year is
heavy
not a
drop
good sign.
off. There's a heavy
Yeah,
drop off between 9 and 10 in the West.
yeah, seriously. But yeah, I mean, it's just been a great start to the year for Lauri Markkanen, despite the fact that he's playing on a very weak Utah Jazz roster. Who's your MVP this week?
Yeah, my MVP this week is Tyrese Maxey. He averaged 37 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, and 6.8 assists per game. And he did that while shooting 51% from the field and 37% from three. Now, a lot of people are talking about Tyrese Maxey on Twitter, and I have mixed this up in my head. I'm not sure if it was my friend who told me this, or I'm not sure if I saw this on Twitter. But people are starting to call Tyrese Maxey the second coming of AI. And once I saw that, AI as in Allen Iverson, by the way, not artificial intelligence. But as I was saying, once that was pointed out to me, it is hard to not notice like a lot of similarities. Like great ISO score, just great overall score, undersized guard. It's 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 insane. Like it's crazy to see that history repeating itself. And he kind of has to pull all the weight as he has a star that's, well, a former MVP that's really sitting on the bench all the time.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable, and that's why I asked you in the buy or sell if he's going to be winning the scoring title this year because he's been off to such an unbelievable start, and it's Luka Doncic ahead of him, sure, but like we've talked about as well, like LeBron James is back in the lineup. You assume that Luka's point totals are going to take a hit, and I mean, you made good points in the buy or sell about teams are going to start playing him a little bit tougher and there's going to be more film on him, but there's no sign of him slowing down at this point in the year, right? Like he's been unbelievable through 15 games, 33 points per game. He's outscoring Shea, which is crazy. Like
Yeah.
he could even be in the argument for MVP this season, the way he's been playing.
Yeah, I would actually argue that he should be in the argument for MVP right now. And I don't think, based upon what I said earlier, I don't think he's going to maintain that. But I think
Mhm.
that it's almost a disservice to not have him at least in the conversation with the way he's playing. Because if he does sustain this, if he does this the whole entire year, he should be the MVP. I think that that's not crazy to say.
No, I don't think that's crazy to say at all, especially if the 76ers are able to be a solidified playoff team. Like, I don't think anybody expected that this year. I don't think either of us had them. Maybe we had them in our play-in spot, but when we did our standings predictions, but
Got mine right here.
oh, do you?
Yeah.
I
No,
haven't looked at mine.
I did not have the Sixers in the playoffs, even the play-in.
Let me try and find mine, see if I did. I had them in the play-in, so I'm a little bit smarter than you, but
Yeah. I also had the Hornets in the play-in, so maybe you are smarter than me. I also had the Pelicans in the play-in in the West. Oh my goodness, that aged
we might have
poorly.
we might have both had the Pels. Let me we'll do a review at some point. Check in on our standings predictions from the start of the year. I did not have the Pelicans, thank God. But I did have the Dallas Mavericks, so just as bad. All right, let's go to your LVP this week.
All right, my LVP of the week, and it's not as egregious as other weeks, this guy, but I thought that Dyson Daniels just should have been better this week. He he had 3 games, 10.3 points per game, 35 minutes a game. He did shoot 65% from the field in general, but 0% from three and 50% from free throw. Now, a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, well, he averaged 3 steals per game. How is he your LVP this week? He's not a scorer, he's a defensive guy. Well, he averaged 4 turnovers a game, and I'm no mathematician here, but that is a net -1 possession based upon the way that he's playing. So if you're going to eat 35 minutes per game, I think he just needs to be better. And yeah, I'm not calling him a bum or anything. It's one of those weeks where no one really stood out as terrible. I just think he need to be better.
Yeah, he was a guy that I considered. I love Dyson Daniels. I think he's a great player in the NBA. Like you said, great defender. But yeah, just not a great week for him. I'm going to be sticking in Atlanta with my LVP as well. I'm going former number one overall pick Zachary Reese-Shea, 8.5 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. But the shooting splits the scoring's not great. The rebounding and assists aren't great either. But the shooting splits are where it gets really bad this past week. 30% from the field and 23% from three. Obviously, he was seen as a very raw prospect in a weak draft class when he was taken with the number one overall pick and didn't have the same expectation that a lot of number one picks do have because of the fact that it was such a weak draft class that year. But I've just expected so much more out of Zachary Reese-Shea. I didn't think that he was going to be a superstar in the NBA, but I saw some potential to be a good number two option on a team or a really good number three, and he just hasn't even been that to start his NBA career. Like it's been rough for him in Atlanta.
Yeah, and the thing is like, is Zachary Richardson? I mean, I already asked you a similar question earlier. We don't have to go through it, but is he one of the worst prospects just off rip as the first overall pick in the last 50 years? I would probably argue that that's a fair argument to make. And
Yeah,
it's
I
not
mean
it's not
Anthony Bennett is worse, but
yeah, well, it's not due to his own fault. It was just a really weak draft class. I don't think that he should have been a first overall pick. I know that someone else was projected to go first, and they declined or they said don't draft me. I can't remember who it was, but it's just he's the first overall pick in my lifetime that people don't know how to say his name. And in a world where people can pronounce Giannis Antetokounmpo, I, that is your measurable of your star power to me.
yeah, I think who you were talking about was Alex Sarr.
Yeah, that is who I was talking
Um,
about. And even then, he's not any better.
no, I mean you look at that top three: Reese-Shea, Sarr, Reed Shepard.
Yeah, just
That's a
brutal.
terrible top three. But then Stefan Castle at four. I loved Stefan Castle at UConn. I thought he was unbelievable. I didn't think he was going to be the number one overall pick, but I think I had him in my top three rankings.
Was
Reese-Shea
he
was my
he
number one player.
he wasn't a freshman though, right?
Castle?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, I have him mixed up with someone. But that's I mean, I didn't know that Stephon Castle actually was in that draft class. I thought he was in the previous years. But it's yeah, just a brutal draft class. Like just one of the worst ever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we don't have to spend too much time on it, but I'm just looking at the top 15 and, well, let's do top 14 because that's a lottery. I mean, the number one scorer out of the top 15 is Stefan Castle, and number two is Alex Sarr. Number three is Reese Shea. Like, You got Bob Carrington. He's solid.
Falling off a cliff
Uh,
for some reason, though.
yeah, like I don't know how to say the dude that the Hornets took that year, T. Jane Saloon or whatever.
Oh,
They
I don't
took
know
him
how to say
six
it either.
overall.
Yeah, like
He's
it's
terrible.
just it's bad. It's really bad. There's a point I was gonna make, but it slipped my mind. But it's just unfortunate, and it sucks for these guys because they get put up probably the same pressure that a lot of these picks go. Oh, this point I was gonna make. You look at a draft class like the Richase class, and then you compare it to a class like 2020. Both were kind of seen as weakish draft classes, but for different circumstances. 2020, there just wasn't like that much film out there. You didn't really know what you were getting just because of COVID. COVID had canceled
Hmm.
March Madness, canceled half the college season. But there's a lot of sleepers that appeared at that class. I mean, Halliburton came out of nowhere. Well, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but Halliburton has exploded in that. I mean, Ant,
Yeah,
people are kind of sleeping on Ant. No one really, well, the casual I would say was sleeping on Ant, and look at him now. And Lamelo Ball, people were wondering if he was even going to be a top three pick. And the one guy that I was actually really high on was the worst guy out of all of them, James Wiseman. But
I
uh,
had his. Oh, what was that card called? It was like the next card in my team on
oh,
2K. I
yeah,
had that James Wiseman card. It was unbelievable. So sick. I love James Wiseman for that. But yeah, I mean, you talk about steals in that draft class. Obviously, Halliburton at 12. That's crazy. Unbelievable pick. He was a guy that fell. I remember he was projected to go a lot earlier. He was also a sophomore, so not as young as some of the other guys that went ahead of him. But he shouldn't have gone 12 to begin with. Fell to Sacramento at 12. Great pick by them. But Tyrese Maxey went 21 in that draft class. Emmanuel quickly 25. There's another name here that I am missing. Where did it go? Oh, Desmond Bain 30. Like there are some really good players in that class. In the late first round. But you look at this 2024 class, and I don't see a single name in the late first that makes me go, "Oh yeah, that was a great pick." Like maybe Ryan Dunn at 28, that was a solid pick because he's a good defender, but he's not going to be anything special.
no, yeah, I don't know. And just popped in my mind too. 2020 NBA pick when our draft when RJ Hampton gets picked and spikes the hat on the floor. That was pretty funny. Just looks so mad.
Yeah. Oh, Jaden McDaniels is another guy there. He's good, obviously now, but yeah, I'm trying to look through the second round, see if there's anyone good in the second round. I forgot that the 2024 draft, by the way, was the Bronny James draft.
Oh right, it was. I mean,
So I guess if your draft class is bad enough that Bronny James can get selected,
yeah, and I
that's
remember
a sign.
he might have gone even earlier. I know people call him like a nepotism pick, but he I remember the Warriors were thinking about drafting him, and then Rich Paul had to call them and threaten them to not draft him. And it's like, and we know how bad Bronny James is, so just the fact that he was even like a consideration is just a testament to how bad that draft class was.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about my dog, by the way. Guy has to bark about Bronny James. Let's get into our Canadian Hooper highlight here. Let's finish things off with this segment. And this week, Nickel Alexander Walker, just an unbelievable week for him. 29.3 points per game, 4 rebounds a game, 1.3 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks, shooting 56% from the field. I mean, he's really I love Na. He's a great player. But he's really picking up that slack from our two LVPs this week on the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, Nikhil Alexander Walker, you're welcome. The reason that you went off is because I freed you from the shackles of my fantasy team, of course. But it like this keeps happening to me, by the way. I gotta get this off my chest. I keep dropping players and they keep going off, and it sucks. But it's good because Nikhil Alexander Walker is Canadian at least. However, Shea's cousin looks like Shea's cousin. It's nice to see another Canadian proving himself in the league. He was a known guy, but I wouldn't say he was a proven guy at the fullest level yet. Like he was a proven role player, but he wasn't a proven like 3 or 2 option. I think he's kind of showing that he can be that in the NBA, and I hope he keeps it up because these splits are really good. They're going to be hard to sustain, but yeah, I hope he can continue it.
Yeah, he's a guy like we talk about Canada basketball a lot when we talk about our Canadian players of the week, and he's a guy that I always love on Team Canada. He comes off the bench, he puts up good minutes. He's a good defender. He can score the ball too. Like I really love him wearing that Team Canada uniform for at the Olympics or at FIBA World Cup, whatever it is. He always plays really well for Team Canada.
Yeah, definitely. And any Canadian player that actually puts the jersey on, they have a fan for life in me. So yeah, I hope Nikhil Alexander Walker, please keep hooping.
All right. Well, we can wrap things up there. Thank you for listening to Ball Don't Lie. Be sure to check out some of our other shows. We just come out with a new football podcast called The Film Grinders with Nick Hauka and David Hollinshead. And then we've got a couple other shows. If you like baseball, hockey, you can check those out as well. We've got Bench in the Bleachers for baseball and In the Slot for hockey on Horizon Media. So yeah, be sure to like and subscribe on this video and our channel. And thank you for listening.